Hello everyone, I welcome you to the third mobile application development lesson, and still we are focusing on Android. Today we are going to talk about the official IDE of Google, and this is Android Studio. So with Android Studio, there are very many features of Android Studio. There are very many things that you're going to hear when it comes to Android Studio. And if you don't have Android Studio, I recommend you to go back on the previous video that talks about how to install Android Studio. So we are going to open our Android Studio, and it is a very rich IDE with a lot of features. But for this course, for this very lesson, we are going to look at the most important features that we are going to be using in our application development. As we go into the course, we shall learn more and more features of Android Studio. But for now, let us focus on the features that we are going to be using in our developments. There are very many words that you're going to hear when it comes to Android Studio. For example, someone may talk about Gradle. And Gradle is just a custom build tool that is used to generate APKs by managing the dependencies in your development environment. When I talk about the APK, it may not be a new word to an Android user, because when I want to install an application, I install that APK. APK is simply the Android application package, and this is a specially formatted zipped file that contains bytecode, that contains resources, for example, images, the user interface itself, and XML. Then also we hear about things like Gradle synchronization. Developers call it Gradle sync, and this is just a Gradle task that is going to check the dependencies in our computers, and it will check a file called gradle.build. So it will check for the dependencies, and if it sees any missing dependence, then it is going to download it, provided you're connected to any network. Then also there is Gradle build. Gradle build is just the generation of APKs. So allow me to take you through the file structures of Android Studio. And I want us to begin with project here. If you're not able to see project around here, then you can go down to your screen here. Then you just hover, you don't have to click. When you hover around, there is a pop-up menu that will come, and then you choose project. So when I choose here project, I'll be able to see a project structure in a tree form. But the default that we always see at the first opening of Android Studio is always Android. So this is what we always see. But Android here, it's going to show us the application assets, the project assets. But then here they are not well listed like the way they are on the hard disk. So if I want to see them in the way they are organized properly on the hard disk, then I have to go back to my drop down here, click it, and then I will choose project. So this project is going to organize our application assets properly the way they are on the hard disk. Just by hovering here, you can see that it is actually giving us already the file location of our project onto the hard disk. For example, with our project here, I can see that it is on disk C, users, Frank, and this is the computer username, then Android Studio projects, and then the project name. So I can follow this location, and then I can trace my project where it is stored. So when we expand the tree here, there are very many files that are pre-created. These are files that you don't create. But here when we go to our application actually it is the main part that is going to store all the assets that we need. So when I expand application, there is build, there is libs, there is source. I expand source. Then here I will see subfolders, for example, Android, test, main, test. Then when I expand main, I will see a folder called Java, and this one is going to be storing our Java classes all through the development of this very project. So when I expand Java, I'll be able to see my Java class here called main activity. So in the same style, when I click on RES, RES is standing for resources. So when I open resources, I'm going to be seeing all my XML files and other resources, for example, the images, among others. And for this case, I only have Android manifest here. It is when I open it, you will see it is XML. Then there are very many other files here that we don't know to create ourselves, but then they are created by the IDE. We have build.gradle here, and then we also have another build.gradle. There are two. This one is going to help us to determine the SDK. For example, the SDK that we are aiming at for our project to use, the minimum SDK, then even the what we are aiming at. Maybe we are developing an application for such and such a device running this and this version. So we always specify those ones from the build.gradle. So here, then there's another build.gradle. As I told you, it is here. And in this one, it contains high-level instructions for the project. And I recommend that you do not tamper with these instructions, but it is always okay to come and change the first build.gradle. So there are very many other files, as we shall be learning all throughout the course about them as we are doing our developments. Then we have buttons around here on the menu. So this one, as we all know it, it is a universal design for run or play, and in this case we call it run. So if I want to run my application, I will use this button. Then also there are other simple settings that we shall be doing. For example, we shall be doing what they call sync project with Gradle, and I've already talked about this. Then there is what they call AVD manager. This is Android virtual device manager, and we shall talk about what it does, but in simple terms, it is going to help us to create virtual devices that which, in case you don't have a physical device, I mean a phone, you will still build Android. Maybe you're using another phone that does not run Android. You can come here and create your own phone that is running Android, and you can test your applications using that very phone. That's what we call the virtual device. Then we also have the SDK manager right here. So maybe I want to change something with my SDK. I want to update. Maybe it is in another location and I want to update that location with my Android Studio. This is the right place where you can do that from. Then, when I come here, I will have run up, just like we've seen the other side. It is also here. And then there's a shortcut, a keyboard shortcut, that is Shift plus 10, F10. So if I press Shift plus F10, it is the same response like someone pressing here or pressing in the first button that we saw here. Then we can also build, and in building we look at majorly two components for now. We are going to look at clean project, and in cleaning project it will help us to delete all the formats that have been done in the project, maybe to restore it to a previous version. And this is always done majorly when we experience errors in our projects. We just clean, and then we shall eliminate all the simple reformats that have been made there. Then, and we are going to be also using the file so much. With file, we can create new, not just a new project or a new or anything new, but we shall be creating other stuff. For example, I can come and create a new project using this file menu. I can import an already existing project into my Android Studio. And then there are very many other things that we shall be doing. We are going to learn this whole interface as we are doing, because as we say that this is a completely practical course. So keep around, and then as we are doing, we shall learn what every menu here or every button or every option here does. So our next video, we are going to create a program, our first application that is going to run on our very mobile phones. So I call upon you to wait for it and do it. Thank you so much.